Imagine this. Your life is a gallery, and every person you let in is a painting on the wall. According to Dr. David McClelland, the people you habitually associate with determine up to 95% of your success or failure. That's right. Your circle shapes your destiny. So who should you keep out of your gallery? Here are the 6 types of negative people you must learn to ignore if you want to protect your energy and happiness. Number 1. The hopelessly hostile drama queen. They thrive on chaos and pull you into their storms. Let them perform elsewhere. Number 2. The person you failed to please 100 times before. No matter what you do, it's never enough. Time to stop auditioning. Number 3. The naysayer who always dumps on your dreams. Their favorite word is impossible. Don't let them narrate your story. Number 4. The manipulator. They pull your strings, twist your words, and drain your will. Cut the cords. Number 5. The stubborn one who insists you should be someone else. You're not their project. Be your own masterpiece. And number 6, the unforgiving friend who refuses to let go of your mistakes. Forgiveness is freedom. Don't let them lock you up. Your environment is powerful. Choose your gallery wisely. Ignore the negativity, and you'll have more space for growth, joy, and the kind of success that's truly your own. Ignoring people. It sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? A bit rude, like something a moody teenager would do. But there's a proper philosophical basis for it, I'll have you know. The ancient Stoics, those chaps in togas who were brilliant at keeping a stiff upper lip, had a thing or two to say about this. They believed that we don't control what happens to us, but we have absolute control over how we react to it. Someone spewing negativity at you is an external event. Letting it ruin your day, that's an internal choice. Think of your mind as a garden. It requires care, attention, and good quality soil to flourish. You wouldn't willingly plant weeds, would you? Allowing negative people to occupy your headspace is like inviting someone to chuck a load of Japanese knotweed over your fence every morning. It's invasive, it chokes the life out of everything else, and it's an absolute nightmare to get rid of. Protecting your mental space isn't selfish, it's essential maintenance. It's about cultivating your own joy, your own peace, your own little patch of sanity in a world that can often feel like it's gone completely bonkers. Modern psychology backs this up, of course. We now have fancy terms like cognitive reframing and boundary setting, which is basically just a 21st century way of saying what the Stoics knew all along. Our brains are wired with something called neuroplasticity, meaning they can change and adapt based on our experiences and thoughts. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, you are literally training your brain to be more negative. You're carving out neural pathways for pessimism. It's like going to the gym and only ever training one scrawny muscle. So this isn't about being unkind, it's about being wise. It's about recognizing that your energy is a finite resource. You only have so much of it each day. Do you want to spend it listening to someone's tedious monologue about how everything is awful, or do you want to invest it in something that makes you happy? The choice, as the old philosophers would say, is entirely yours. Choose wisely. Choose. First up on our list of energy sappers is the constant complainer. You know the one. Their coffee is too hot, then it's too cold. The meeting was too long, the weekend was too short. Their default setting is disgruntled. If complaining were an Olympic sport, they'd have more gold medals than Michael Phelps. They aren't looking for solutions, they're looking for an audience. They get a strange sort of validation from detailing every single injustice, no matter how minor that has befallen them. It's their way of connecting. But the connection is built on a shared foundation of misery, and they're the chief architect. The harm here is subtle but insidious. Listening to a constant barrage of complaints is like being exposed to a low-level radiation leak. It slowly poisons your outlook. You might start your day feeling optimistic, but after 10 minutes with a complainer, you'll find yourself noticing that your own tea is a bit lukewarm, and the weather is, in fact, a bit miserable. Their negativity is contagious. It seeps into your consciousness and validates the most pessimistic parts of your own brain. They drag you down into their world, where the glass isn't just half empty, it's probably chipped and has a fly in it. So how do you ignore them? The Stoic approach would be to recognize their complaints as mere noise external sounds that have no power over your inner state unless you grant it to them. Don't engage with the complaint. Don't offer solutions because that just gives them another thing to complain about. Instead, practice the art of the swift subject change. When they start, listen for a breath, and then jump in with something completely unrelated and positive. Right. Anyway, did you see that documentary about the otters? Brilliant. It derails their negative train of thought. Another modern and slightly more direct method is to set a boundary. You can say, kindly but firmly, "I've only got a few minutes and I'd love to focus on something positive today. What's been good for you lately?" This does two things. It signals that you are not a receptacle for their negativity, and it gently challenges them to find something, anything, good to talk about. Sometimes they'll be stumped, and the conversation will just fizzle out. And that, my friend, is a victory. Next, we have the Armchair Critic. This person is an expert on everything, especially on everything you're doing wrong. They haven't written a book, but they'll tell you exactly how your favorite author should have ended their last novel. They haven't run a business, but they have a 10-point plan on how you should be running yours. They dispense unsolicited advice with the confidence of a Nobel laureate, all from the comfort of their metaphorical armchair. Their criticism is rarely constructive. It's usually just a way for them to feel superior by pointing out the perceived flaws in others. It's not about helping you. It's about elevating themselves. The danger of the critic is that they can chip away at your confidence, even if you know, logically, that they don't know what they're talking about. Their constant nitpicking can plant seeds of doubt. You start second-guessing your own decisions, your own talents, your own instincts. They are the voice that says, "Are you sure you should be doing that?" Or, "I don't think that's a very good idea." They prey on your vulnerability, especially when you're trying something new or putting yourself out there. They are the human equivalent of a pop-up ad that you just can't seem to close, constantly interrupting your progress with pointless negativity. How do you handle this font of useless wisdom? Again, we can turn to philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who had to deal with far more than an annoying colleague, wrote about focusing only on your own actions and judgments. The critic's opinion is just that, an opinion. It has no basis in fact and no bearing on your reality unless you allow it to. A simple, modern technique is the thank you and move on method. When they offer their unwanted critique, just say, "Thanks for the input," and immediately change the subject or walk away. Don't argue, don't defend yourself, that's what they want. They want engagement, starve them of it. Another practical tip is to consider the source. Has this person achieved what you're trying to achieve? Do they have any expertise in this area at all? Usually, the answer is no. Their opinions are worthless currency. Treat them as such. Remind yourself of your own goals and your own reasons for doing what you're doing. Keep your eyes on your own paper. The Armchair Critic is just background noise, a heckler in the cheap seats. The show is yours, and you get to decide whose reviews matter. Spoiler alert, theirs doesn't. The drama magnet. Their life is a never-ending soap opera, and they are always, always the star. Every day brings a new crisis, a new conflict, a new betrayal. They talk about their problems with a breathless urgency, making a small disagreement at the supermarket sound like a scene from a Shakespearean tragedy. They thrive on chaos. In fact, if things are calm for too long, they'll often create a bit of drama just to feel alive. Peace and quiet are boring to them. They need intensity, they need an audience, and they need you to be emotionally invested in their latest episode. The problem with the drama magnet is that their chaos is contagious. They pull you into their vortex of emotional turmoil. You find yourself spending your precious time and energy trying to mediate their disputes, calm their anxieties, or just listen to their endless circular stories of woe. It's incredibly draining. You become a supporting character in their drama, and your own life gets pushed to the side. Their constant state of emergency makes your own perfectly valid problems seem insignificant, and you end up neglecting your own needs to cater to their manufactured crises. They're an emotional fire that demands all the oxygen in the room. So, how do you tune out the soap opera? The philosophical approach is to practice detachment. The Buddhists have a concept called compassionate detachment, which means you can care about someone without getting entangled in their drama. You can wish them well from a distance. You don't have to jump into the fire with them to show you care. When they come to you with their latest saga, you can listen for a moment, but then you must refuse to take the bait. Don't ask leading questions. Don't offer to get involved. Just listen, nod, and offer a neutral, non-committal response like, "That sounds really difficult, I hope you figure it out." A very practical, modern tip is to become incredibly boring. When the drama magnet tries to reel you in, give them nothing to work with. Use one-word answers. Look slightly distracted. Check your watch. They are looking for an emotional reaction, a spark. If you give them the emotional equivalent of a wet blanket, they will quickly get bored and move on to find a more reactive audience. It might feel a bit awkward at first, but it's a highly effective way to signal that the drama theater is closed for business. You are not their co-star. You're not even in the audience. You're at home with your feet up, watching something much better. And now for a truly skilled manipulator, the guilt tripper. This person has a black belt in making you feel bad. They use guilt as their primary weapon to get what they want. Their language is laced with passive-aggressive comments and sighs of martyrdom. Phrases like, "Oh, don't worry about me, I'll be fine on my own," or "It's okay, I'm used to being let down," are their stock in trade. They make you feel like you are personally responsible for their happiness, and that any decision you make for your own well-being is a direct and cruel attack on them. They are masters of the emotional guilt trip, and they've already booked you a ticket. The harm caused by the guilt tripper is profound. They erode your boundaries and make you feel constantly indebted to them. You find yourself doing things you don't want to do, simply to avoid the awful feeling of guilt they so expertly inflict. This creates a deeply unhealthy dynamic based on obligation rather than genuine affection or choice. It can make you feel trapped and resentful. Over time, it can completely destroy your ability to make decisions that are good for you, because you're always filtering them through the lens of how will this make them feel? Or more accurately, how will they make me feel bad about this? How do you refuse the trip? Philosophically, you must reclaim your autonomy. The Stoics would argue that your duties are to yourself first. You are not responsible for another adult's emotional state. Their feelings are their own to manage. You must recognize the guilt they are trying to impose on you as what it is, a form of manipulation. It's not real. It's a tool they are using. When you see it for what it is, it loses its power. You can then choose not to pick up the emotional baggage they are trying to hand you. Just leave it there on the platform. In a practical sense, you need to learn to say no without a long, apologetic explanation. When a guilt tripper makes a request designed to make you feel bad if you refuse, give a simple, clear, and firm no. For example, "I'm sorry, but I can't do that." Don't over-explain, don't justify. Any reason you give is just ammunition for them to use against you. A simple no is a complete sentence. It will feel uncomfortable at first because you've been conditioned to feel guilty. But every time you do it, you strengthen your own boundaries and weaken their hold over you. You are not a bad person for saying no. You are a sensible person protecting your peace. So, there you have it. The complainers, the critics, the drama magnets, and the guilt trippers, along with a couple of their other miserable mates. They're out there. You probably pictured a few specific people as you were reading this. The world is full of them, and you can't avoid them all the time. But you don't have to. The point isn't to build a fortress and live in isolation. The point is to become the calm, unflappable curator of your own life. You get to decide what you allow into your personal gallery. You get to decide which influences you hang on the walls of your mind. Choosing to ignore negativity is not an act of aggression. It's an act of profound self-care. It's like deciding to eat healthier food. You're not angry at the donut. You're just choosing the apple because you know it's better for you in the long run. Every time you refuse to engage with pointless drama, every time you let a criticism wash over you, every time you change the subject from a complaint to something joyful, you are making a conscious choice for your own well-being. You are tending to your own mental garden pulling out the weeds so that better things have room to grow, and that is a beautiful, powerful thing. Your energy, your time, and your attention are the most valuable currencies you have. Don't give them away cheaply, especially not to people who will squander them. Invest them in people who lift you up, who inspire you, who make you laugh, and who see the best in you. Invest them in your own passions, your own growth, and your own quiet moments of peace. The world can be a noisy, critical place, but you have the power to control the volume. You can turn down the static and tune into the frequency of positivity and kindness. I encourage you to start today. Be a bit more mindful of who you're giving your energy to. And if this has helped, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Talk about it. The more of us who decide to stop feeding the negativity, the less power it will have. Let's start a quiet revolution of sensible, positive-minded people who politely refuse to have their day ruined. Let's create a world with fewer emotional black holes and a lot more sunshine. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think there's a documentary about otters I need to watch. Cheers.